We are live. Okay. Why aren't you also? There you go. Go live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Psychic Zen 333. Here with my co-host Nancy. Nancy, everybody, say hi.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Nancy is my beloved Buddha master, and this podcast, we use things to teach people how to live a peaceful, happy life by taking some of the lessons that my Buddha master has been able to share with me. Just due to technical issues, Nancy phones in and we deliver the podcast together. So even though you can't see her, she is very much so powerfully here. Okay. So Nancy, is there anything that you'd like to just announce or say before we get started?
Wow. There's so many things. I don't know. Let me think. Keep this a little bit.
Okay.
I think, it's really hard now. People are going through changes, and it's really interesting how much we have inside of us and how much opportunity do we have that most people, or a lot of people, just don't realize, or they don't realize the power that they have. So I guess that's one of the things that is really important, and I keep in mind, especially this week.
I agree with that. And that's actually, I didn't even get to tell Nancy anything about what I had decided for us to speak about. And already she's right there with me jumping in. I made tonight's subject about healing, forgiveness, and open-mindedness. When we are standing in our power, these subjects are maybe hard subjects or sticky subjects. So they're equally important to do in order for us to be able to be in our alignment, our ascension, our happiness. Our well-being comes from what we are able to let go as well as what we embrace. So my first question for you, Nancy, is what do you think, or I wrote, how do we, or what is the best way that we can process pain?
Well, I guess pain is an interesting thing. I remember an experience I had a long time ago that the experience came in and said pain was a gift. And I remember going, yeah, right. I was like, sure. I was going through whatever I was going through at the time. But pain, in a way, is a gift because it does give us a clue what we need to understand or work. And it's all about most of the things that people go through and all the difficulties and the challenges and so on, all have to do with pain. And it has to do with either trying to let go of pain or not get into pain and to avoid pain and so on. So pain is a very important teacher, actually. And what was your question? How do you
how do
you get out of it?
Yeah, well, how do we, or what is the best way to process pain?
To process pain, I think to feel it, to understand that you're going through something. I'm not sure what you mean by. Can you tell me what you mean by processing?
Sure. I mean, like, come to terms with, do the healing portion. So say somebody has a stuck feeling of pain, something happened to them in their childhood or in their marriage and something. What do you think the best way to get to the other side is?
Well, I think it goes back to not having expectations. We're going to have many wars in our life, and we're going to have many things that happen. People don't want to hear that, but I mean, it's actually right in front of us. So I guess one of the things would be to recognize and realize it. Probably one of the biggest problems that we have in disease that we have as far as emotions and so forth is unconsciousness. And we have an expectation that certain things are going to happen and they're going to be a certain way, and they don't happen that way. We are disappointed, and we go through what a lot of people call pain. We go through pain if we hurt someone or someone hurt us by saying something or doing something that is not in alignment to what we want. how do we assess it is to recognize it. I think being conscious and understanding, and we can get into this even deeper here in your discussion time. The idea is to recognize that consciously, how did I attract this? What did I do? What is about this that is causing the pain? And of course, our mind is not going to help us. It's going to take us around in circles. We're going to rehearse what happened. We're going to tell everybody. We may discuss what's happening with other people. We are going to be a lot of people feel very justified. I have every right to be in pain. I have every right. This really hurt, and so on. And it's coming to the conclusion and understanding, if we truly understood the truth, we would understand we don't have to be in pain. In other words, there's peace and harmony and a lot of really good elixirs inside of us that can help us. There's techniques that can help us. Pain is addictive. I mean, it's, we attract it and we are addicted to it a lot of times. Feeling very righteous about it, having to go through pain in order to learn. There's a philosophy that I have to suffer in order to understand things, which I don't agree with. I think we've done that and we do it, but I don't agree that we have to do it. And how do we recognize it and can deal with it is, I think the biggest thing is not to want it.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people who do, they get caught in the love of their own pain and suffering, but that's a whole different ballgame. That's somebody who doesn't love themselves enough to want to come out of difficulties. There's going to be things that happen. There's things that you like and there's things that you don't like. It's like a merry-go-round. Everything goes in a circle. One minute you're in pain and the terrible things that happen, and then if you let go of it, then pretty soon you've got a new person or a new situation and a new job or whatever the case might be, and it's much better. You find out the things that you let go of usually turns out to be an avenue or a doorway to something that is even better for you a lot of times. So people who keep going in that ditch and they keep getting more and more difficult life situations. I mean, there are a lot of things that people can help. I mean, for instance, the fires that are going on, the floods, losing their homes, the tornadoes, and all the different things that are coming. But if it's to the point where there's nothing you can do about it, then you got choices to make the same way. It's painful to lose a lot of physical things, but there's always change, and physical things are always going to change.
Right.
They're always going to change. So they're going to change in one way or another. And, some people just have a lot of things happen. Does that mean that they've done anything wrong? No, but that may be a lesson they chose to go through as to how to overcome that adversity and move forward so they can help others too.
Yeah, there's 2 points that were made simultaneously. So first is Denise and Andrea are here with us. Denise said, pain, why are you feeling it? How can you deal with it? Move on. It takes time. And I agree with her. One thing that she reminded me of in saying that is sometimes people take a very long time to heal. And part of that is, I don't want to say that pain has an expiration date, because certain people go through certain things and there has to be an organic process. But like, I have a phrase that I like to say, real healing is transformation. How long is too long? You can't rush yourself through pain, but at the same time, like you said, sometimes people can hold on to it, marry it, be addicted to it. So like proportionately, how do we know that we're having a healthy process with our pain?
Well, again, time is an illusion. 5 minutes can seem like an hour can seem like 5 minutes, and much of the pain comes from past lives. If I have to go through, let's say, a love issue, and I feel unloved, or I've had love that didn't last, or whatever the different situations that can cause pain. Well, most of whatever I'm shutting down love for, love is the only answer. So anything I'm shutting down love for is probably not just in this lifetime. It probably has other lifetimes attached to it, which makes it even stronger. But I don't necessarily think time is as much of an issue as the decision. Once I make up my mind, I deserve better. I can let go of this because I don't want to keep the pain going. It was bad enough to go through it the first time, and why do I want to keep doing it? And why does it keep coming back? And why does this keep happening? Because we attract it.
Right.
Once you consciously understand that there is an alternative to that there's a way to surrender, that things happen, things just happen sometimes, or people just do what they do at times, and they're not perfect yet, or whatever the case might be. But it's our consciousness. It's being consciously aware, and the higher dimensions help. Being in a higher dimension helps. That you're aware, you're conscious, and you're aware, and you understand that things happen, and not everything happens, exactly the way we wanted. But a lot of times what we wanted isn't exactly the way it should have happened. So it may be people don't like change all the time, and sometimes, and not all the time, but sometimes. Change is always going to take place, whether people want it or not. And there's people who are suffering. I mean, look around, it's lots of suffering. But there's an alternative. Beside every suffering situation, there's another. If you think of your left hand or a hand, it's just the way I see it sometimes. My left hand represents whatever took place and it brought pain and brought suffering. And then the other hand is the alternative to that. There's an alternative to every left hand, the right hand. And then in the middle is where your answer lies. So being conscious, being aware, being afraid to love is very common, but it's inside of us. Love is not peace, love, harmony. All these things are inside of us, and we look outside. If this happens and I get this amount of money, I live in Las Vegas. If I win all this, I don't do gambling much, but anyway, if you win all this money, or you have this really good luck, or you hear this music, isn't it wonderful? It brings my soul and heart together. There can be things that stimulate that love inside of us, but the love is already there, and it's one of the things that I sort of keep saying, and I wouldn't call it harping on, but trying to make the idea, people to get the idea, is that it's inside of us. You don't have to become something. You have to touch into the inside that will provide that for you. So how do you deal with all this? Is make a decision. If you don't know how to deal with it, if you don't know how to come out of it, you don't know, it keeps coming around again, you keep rehearsing it, you keep remembering it. The whole idea of that memory is to bring pain.
Right.
So the more I remember, the more I talk about it, the more I get into it, the more I do this and make it real, the more pain I'm going to have. And so we have a lot to do with how we don't have to like everything that takes place. We don't have to agree with everything that someone does and the forgiveness level of it. We don't have to agree with it, but if I hold on to it and I keep it going and I keep it alive, then I will have pain. And I will suffer.
Right.
But there's tools that can help, curtail some of that.
One of the
things.
Of it.
Well, all of it actually. I would say all of it.
In order to prepare for this podcast, I was laughing with you last podcast about the old notebook I had from when we first started together, which is how
yeah.
Forgiveness came up, because it was like one of the first chapters that we spoke about. So
really?
Yeah.
Okay. Probably. It's an important one.
It is. So one of the things that we had written in it was, we have the opportunity to be the antidote to pain and peace to the chaos. How much time do you want to choose to be in pain or chaos? And now, 13 years later, after doing all this with you, I think what really speaks to me is that word choose, because we have a choice in what we think, what we feel, what we believe, how long we choose to stay stuck on something. We choose to get where we put our focus. How can we process that situation? Like you had touched on earlier about physical dis-ease, when you break that word up, not in ease, it usually manifests in from the metaphysical bodies, the energetic body, the emotional body, the emotional body, the intellectual body, spiritual body, and manifests its way down to the physical. So when we have digestion issues, sometimes it can be caused by the emotional upset of a situation that you're still chewing on. And we're kind of exacerbating it somewhere between attachment and expectation, which is the next question, Nancy, is expectation and attachment the same thing, or is there a difference between it?
Well, I think they go hand in hand. Before I get into that, remind me in just a minute to get back to what you just asked. But one of the things that, again, we expect the outside to make us happy or comfortable, or, if someone hurt our feelings, they said something that really was sort of, we thought to be mean or uncalled for or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, what people really, we all need to understand is we're spirit. We are highly evolved beings. And what everybody else, everything that someone else, anything I go through, anything that someone else does or doesn't do for me or do with me or do about me, has to do it was all because the universe wants me to learn from it, or it wants me to experience it. And I want to experience it. I agree to experience it. So everything is about me. Me. I don't mean it in an egotistical way, but it would fit that way anyway. It truly is about us and what do we want? How much am I aware? How big of enjoyment do I want to experience? What do I want my day to be? When I wake up, do I just let it happen and just let it go to whatever direction it is, maybe? Or can I just do a few moments of desire of listening to the breath, or seeing light, or thinking about gratitude, or do something that is going to make and break, it's going to give my day a better moment, a better chance.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't forgive, in this whole thing, that goes sort of hand in hand with what we're talking about. If we don't forgive, we're never going to be able to love. And if we don't love ourselves, we're not going to be able to love anything else or anyone else. So we have to get, we have to do that.
I agree with you. That was one of the most powerful lessons that I ever learned with you, because I feel like what I thought was self-love when I was younger was maybe some degree of self-respect, some degree of making a choice of what I would do or wouldn't do, would accept or not accept. But what I learned in the process is that was not self-love. Self-love is to honor the self, to love the self. When you think about people that you love most in life, are you loving yourself in the same way? Because everything in the outside world is going to be attracted to your degree of self-love, which is the point of attraction within you. Plus, it feels amazing to be able to love ourselves. Like, our inside self craves our own love. And if you look for it in other people, there's always going to be some degree of hollowness, because nobody can love you like you have the ability to love you. And everything in life is born from that. And it's such a beautiful experience to have it.
It sounds like a Pollyanna kind of mentality that we're talking about, but it really isn't, because inside of us, we were created to want peace. We were absolutely created to want peace.
Mm-hmm.
And people strive for it. They think of it being something outside. If everything's quiet, if it's this, if it's that, and so on. Peace is within, and it's cause, actually, peace comes with the consciousness that I'm in oneness with the Creator.
Yeah.
And I have, again, I've talked about breathing. If you take deep breaths, you might think, well, I'm just breathing, I'm filling up with oxygen, and I'm getting my marks up higher on my breathing. But there's so much more to that. God put itself inside. We always, you hear all the time, well, God's inside. Literally, It is literally inside in the breath. And the oxygen, the breath, the life force goes to every part of our body. So it gave us everything. It made us totally, we don't have to depend on anyone or anything in that way in order to be happy, to have peace, to have harmony. And this is the hard part about it, because we look on the outside, and if someone says something or something we don't like, then we have to go through this process of letting go and forgiving. And it's hard, and being upset. And then chances are you have lifetimes where you went through the same lesson and went through something similar. And so now it really is deep, and it's real, and it feels real, and but it leads to pain. And if I don't want pain, then I have to come up with ways of letting go,
Right.
letting it go. And that, people don't want to let it go because they want they want justice, they want this, they want so many different things. I want peace, personally. I like peace. I like to know that God is within me. I like to listen to the breath of God because it's divine, and I appreciate it, and I can't believe it put such a gift inside me. The real God, the real divine, the real thing is inside me, and all I have to do is concentrate on it. All I have to do is understand it, and my consciousness, understanding, and then concentrate, just focus on it. I don't have to do anything. All I need to do is focus. Watch it, eat it, spirit, get it, whatever way, people enjoy. But to be happy is a natural thing that most people want.
Right.
And they want it because they're supposed to have it. And if they weren't, why would it put something inside of us that we could go in and have bliss and peace and harmony and understanding and everything answered and do everything? Why would it put it right inside of us if we were supposed to watch everyone else? We're making the broadcast today, but the only reason that I do anything, teach anything, is, as you probably remember, I kept saying, the only reason I do anything is to help you understand that you can do it too, or that you may want to do it.
Okay.
And that's not just a Buddha thing. I'm many things. I'm Buddha, but I'm also many, many things. And many things is I'm a spirit. I'm a Nancy spirit doing many things.
I'm a Nancy spirit doing Nancy things.
I'm doing Nancy things, yeah. I used to call things Nancyisms, but the point is, I don't want to suffer anymore. And if somebody loses their house and all the wars that are going on, and you see all these things, and yet you can see a child bouncing and dancing, and little ones, teensy, less than a year old, and singing, and the celestial choirs here, and you can hear the beautiful voices and singing and music. People can go out dancing, and a lot of times when people go out dancing, I don't know what everyone does, but I know it happens. I know what I would do. You close your eyes. Sometimes you close your eyes and you hear the music, and you hear and you bounce, and you feel better.
Right.
So, if we blame, when you blame someone for your problems, you've got one finger pointing to the person and three fingers pointing back at you with the thumb holding them down usually.
Yep.
And I don't care what someone does to me or doesn't do, or anything that offends me or doesn't offend me or in any strong way, but it doesn't matter what it is. I look at myself first, because that's where the problem's going to be. That's who's attracting it. I believe that I attract everything I get. Now, why would I do that? Probably something, again, from the past lives. There's some reason I'm supposed to learn a lesson from it. That's what made me a good student. I wanted to be a good student because it was the smart thing to do, because I didn't want to suffer anymore.
Right.
I figured the faster I learned what I needed to do to get rid of it, like we're talking about now, the better off I'd be, faster I would be. But we're in an Aquarian age of light. And there's a law. There is a law this is a universal law that is not going to fail in this time period, in this age. And this law is absolute. And the law that is absolute is the negative and the dark, or whatever anybody wants to call it, has to bend to the light. The light always wins. So the light being truth, love, peace, harmony, anything anybody wants to call light. It has to change things. So if I don't know how to get rid of the pain, and I'm not sure what I need to do, and I'm not sure what this person did, I got betrayed, and I don't know why I got betrayed. I'm not sure what all that happened. Probably past life. Past lives to me are time frames that are still going on. They're just in the past.
That was my other question, the role of past lives in our current lives.
You know, I think they're very common because they're, you know, it's anything we haven't cleaned up, we're clearing up now.
Right.
And, you know, but, you know, there's so many reasons. There are many, 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 many reasons why you can be unhappy in that day. There's many things that can come up. There can be a lot of things. But the one thing that could come up instead of all those things and could change everything would be go inside and prepare your day with a focus on something that's bright, light, sound, breathing, whatever you want.
Do you have one that you use in particular?
I concentrate. I learned a long time ago that meditation basically is just observing. You just watch it. You just hear it. You just listen. You know, you just feel it. The breath I feel. And I see a light a lot of times. If you close your eyes, sometimes you'll see light. Sooner or later, you'll see light. And when you see the light, you just watch it. You just watch it. You don't have to do anything. You don't make it or break it. You don't create it. You don't uncreate it. It's just there. And the same thing with sound. You can, if you listen, sometimes people have ringing of the ears or ringing, you know, but if you listen to, it sounds like atoms popping, or I don't know, it sounds different to everybody. But anyways, it could be melodies, but it could be just sounds. And then if you feel the breath and you understand and listen to the breath and feel it, then you've got it all. And you can do one of them or all of them, you know, but
Abraham Hicks.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Abraham Hicks has a great one. It says, today is a new morning, and I will look for reasons to feel great. Nothing is more important than me feeling great. And like you wake up and you say that to yourself, and it's a great morning. It's a great morning. Everything is great. Nothing's more, because you literally, when you were sleeping, you established alignment. So now when you wake up, that's usually, you know, we have an opportunity to get into it, like to stay into alignment all day long, or to wobble in that alignment. So being able to go back and forth. So we want to make sure that we stay in that alignment by setting the tone nice and early in the morning. And then it's law of attraction most of the time from there on out. You agree with that?
We chanted as Buddhists, you know, we chanted and we did visualizations and we did all this stuff. But, you know, there's, to me, the divine, God, anything, spirit, anything anybody wants to call it, to me, it's practical. You know, we can talk about the Pollyanna side of it. Oh, this is wonderful and so on. Well, for someone who's suffering, it's not always, it's sort of hard to feel that.
Right,
sometimes.
right.
So, I mean, but if I got to the place where I want to ask, how do I get out of this? I will get the answer. It will tell me I'll get the answer from spirit. And we'll try this, or, you know, or maybe it'll bring some miracle in, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I can't believe it. I just feel it, or I just saw this, or I just experienced this, or somehow the miracles are here, and it's just waiting on people to help, you know, and so on. The only price tag to the miracle is to have an open mind. And the open mind is, I don't know exactly how to do this. I don't even know what to do. I'm not sure, but please, higher beings, help me, you know, or show me, or let me experience something really fun. And, you know, we should be thinking of ourselves, of having fun. The only thing you have to do right now, there's only one stipulation and one thing that is meant for you to do right now, and that's to be happy.
Right.
And to enjoy your life and to be in a place. Well, how do you do that when there's wars and when there's this and that and so on? If it would be a very difficult question to answer if we thought the outside was the answer. It would be very hard because the outside is the problem. If I go inside and I am in oneness with the divine, then I don't necessarily have to go through all those things.
Yeah, inside is where we make the connection and do the healing. I just had this kind of discussion earlier today where we were talking about relationships and looking at characteristics of relationships. And then, people talk about what they want in a partner. Well, if you're looking for something in a partner and you're trying to use law of attraction as a way to do it, one of the things that you taught me was to go through and make a check next to each one of the things that you are, because a lot of times,
and I would change that now.
We would. Okay, what would you change
it
to?
I would change it. You know what I would change it to?
What?
I would change that because in the Pisces age, we had a whole different ball game. It was more, that was a suffering universe, and we had to do more ritual kind of stuff and things like that, which I don't do anymore.
Okay.
But what I think the best and fastest way to get the partner that you want is to become it.
Exactly.
You be the partner you want.
Yeah.
And as you be the partner you want, you're automatically going to attract it.
Yeah, well, you're getting into that space within yourself where if you focus on yourself, what do I want? What makes me happy? Take myself to the places that make me happy. Be around people that make me happy. Your vibration changes with every choice you make to put yourself around something that feels right to you, where you feel right in your own skin, where you feel happy with what you're doing.
If you want someone available, there's a lot of people, you have attractions to people, but they're not available. For one reason or another, they're not. Maybe they're in another relationship. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they're not around. Who knows? There's some kind of reason why they're not available.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not available, then you're attracting something not available. So you may be unavailable. In other words, you may be a person who's afraid, I'm going to get hurt again. I don't have time. I had bad experiences before. There's, you can have. There's a lot of reasons why the person who's trying to attract someone has the same problem.
Right.
So as you heal and as you let go of these things, then it's going to be almost automatic.
Right. Yeah.
It's going to be magical. It can't be magical because if I have this belief system in a personal way that people need to do not equal like total, but one doesn't do all the work and the other one just is the taker. I mean, that people are compatible and they help each other, they love each other, and they show their love, and back and forth and so on.
Right.
And I believe, that having a relationship like that works a lot better than one person doing it all and being codependent.
Yeah. 1,000%. Yeah.
And I think it lasts and so on. People on my batteries and my phone's going to do something here. But anyway, maybe it's my earphone. But anyway, it's interesting how we can find. But if I'm trying to find someone, I want them to fix me. It's not going to be as easy.
No one can fix us. We have to be our own projects. One of the questions or one of the statements that are here is, I'm still working on loving myself. I've got the letting go and forgiveness part, but loving myself is harder. I know why, and I'm working on it. So, any kind of guidance about where do you begin to learn to love yourself?
Well, a lot of places, but I wouldn't be working on it.
Okay.
You might say focused, or I'm focused on, but I wouldn't say working on it. That's pretty negative in connotation, I think. You got to work on something and that means there's something so wrong that you got to work on it. I think what I would ask the higher level, God, divine, God, whatever,
mm-hmm.
spirit, my high self, I would ask, and I do, please show me who I am. Show me the beauty in me. Help me love myself love is a sort of a weird word too, because love it's one of the, everything is love. Now, all the vibration is love right now. So you can love a cat, you can love your dog, you can love a stone, you can love many, many, many things. But loving yourself, you wouldn't, if you didn't have that love inside of you wouldn't recognize it.
Right. Agreed.
You wouldn't be attracted to it. So show me, teach me. Look in the mirror and say, you're really pretty neat. I like you. Or when you do something really good, people give you a compliment, you say thank you out of politeness, but you don't really believe it.
Right.
then ask, why is it, how can I become more self-assured? How can I become more giving and loving and feel and receive it back? You ask for things that you want, what you want to understand, what you know. Now, years ago, I had one of those moments where you have a come to God, Jesus,
Coming to God moment.
and you had this moment, and I said, I want to understand everything. I want to know everything. I want to understand. It was almost like God was waiting for me to say that, because I got a lot of stuff that I learned. But I asked for what I want. I asked for what I need to know. If I'm not sure how to do something, how do I love myself more? Now, one good example of this you are aware of. During the COVID, I chanted for over 1,000 people and their families, and on the Now, one person got COVID but me, because I left myself out.
Right. I remember that.
And I took a bite for that one.
Yeah.
Well, do you think I'm going to do that again?
No, you're going to include yourself.
I would do whatever I could to help, but I certainly won't leave myself out.
Right.
And why did I do that? Because I didn't have a mindfulness of, in my case, I thought I was automatically protected. And so therefore I had an expectation, and, it's going to be this way, and I don't have to worry about it because I'm doing this. No, I learned from my mistakes. That's another thing. I mean, mistakes are mistakes. They're not the end of the world. They're things that we do. If in a relationship, if we didn't give as much or love as much, or we were closed down, or we were too needy, or we were this or that or so on. I mean, those are things that are all, they just bring pain, and they're all corrected. They're all, the ability to correct any of those behaviors are there for us. We don't have to do all that stuff. And when I have self-confidence, I don't do those things.
Yeah.
And the only way I can get self-confidence and be who I am is by going inside. And I'm making a strong statement by saying that. It's not going to be what people want to hear sometimes. It is the answer. It's the route. And that's where God is. And that's where now is. And that's where answers are. And that's where light is. That's where sound is. That's where breathing is. And that's where everything is.
Yeah, it's like there is the last episode that we just talked about was about going within, how to go within. So if you're new to watching this podcast tonight and you want to get some pointers for how to go within, go back to episode 2, because that's what we discussed. Hi, One, welcome. Okay, so one of the things I pulled from the notebook was, if you lead with the heart first, then the mind catches up. So Nancy, why is it important to lead with the heart first, and what does it feel like to lead with your heart?
Well, I'm sure most of the people are listening. If anybody, when they listen, if they do, and so on, they've been listening from the heart. Otherwise, they wouldn't be listening to this program probably. But listening to it from the heart means the heart chakra behind the physical heart is where the high self resides.
Mm-hmm.
And the heart, the mind is imagination. It's thinking, and imagination has been contaminated, and it's been, there's a difference between believing and knowing.
Right.
Big difference between the two. In the heart chakra, you have the knowing, you have the ability to know, and that way you don't get fooled, you don't get hurt, you don't get, you get stronger and stronger, you understand things, and things go in alignment a lot easier. In the thought process, it's a circle of belief systems and teachings and non-teachings and true teaching, no teachings, whatever. So the believing is a whole series of experiences that were on the outside, or learning that came from the outside. Where believing is a lot different. In the heart chakra, there's knowing.
Right.
And when you know something, when you know, and when you are in that knowing, and when you understand that knowing, you don't get messed up. I mean, it just doesn't happen the same way.
It feels true.
The other side of it, you're all over the map a lot of times, or any of us could be all over the map, because everything is changing. Everything we see is going, it looks like right now everything's going in a negative way, but there's so much light. Right? Ask to see the light and ask to see the God force in all of this, because it'll show you where it's at that you never would have thought. And it'll give you, you'll see, it's like the children's coloring books that have the hidden objects in the coloring book.
The I Spy books. Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll see it where it'll show you where it is. Now in this age, that was the Pisces age. In this age, it's not hidden; it's right out in front of us.
Right.
So is the other out in front of us, so we can make decisions and choices.
See, this is something that I'm not putting anyone on the spot, but I think it needs to be kind of differentiated, because there's the true ideology of it and a false idea of it. So one of the statements here is leading with the heart got me in trouble. And I feel like there is this kind of narrative where if they say you were in a bad relationship or something, I led with my heart, I love this person, and then it got me in trouble. So people are now afraid when you say go to the heart space or be led by the heart or let your heart lead the way. How do we differentiate between the idea of my heart leads me wrongly versus my heart leads me right?
What you described to me would not be leading from the heart.
Right.
If I automatically assume I fell in love, and love can be an attachment. It can be many, many things. It doesn't have, it's not always true. I may be sexually attracted to someone. I may be, it might be out of money, out of, different things, out of alignment that we all agree on the same things. We like to do the same things. It can be for many, many things.
Right.
And they're all outside things. So if you say that you got confused and the heart led you wrong, then you weren't in your heart, because the heart doesn't do that.
Okay, so how, like, using so what I've learned with Nancy is always that the heart is always truthful. The heart will never lead you in the wrong place. The heart is our connection to God, or our connection to source, our connection to ourselves. And the heart leads us to all the right places, as opposed to the ideologies that we create around what real love is, or what our real heart feels like. So there might be substitutions.
I don't understand how you could get in trouble. I mean, if it were, let's say that you went into the heart chakra and you fell in love with someone. It could be a past life. It could be this lifetime, that brought it in, or whatever. And again, these are just past lives, are just time periods that are going on simultaneously.
Right.
And so, I mean, if you love someone, and even if it didn't last forever and it didn't work out the way you thought it was going to be, how can love be a miss?
Yeah.
I mean, if I have the right attitude, I don't mean right or wrong, but if I have an attitude that I love everybody anyway, so some just the way different people are treated differently, I just express it differently for some people differently than another. But I'm not confused. I can love the person on the corner. I can love the stranger. I can love the person on the corner I've never met as much as I love the people in my life. And that may sound weird and it may sound odd, but that's the way it is. I mean, when you're in love, the love potion that's inside of us is capable of loving everyone, because once you understand that, then you understand the idea that we are all one.
Right. Everyone is yourself pushed out.
The universe, we're all one. I don't have to like everything everybody does.
Right.
I don't have to follow their behavior, but as far as, love is, it's not separating. And then what you just described was a love that would be separating. Somehow I interpreted that I messed up. Somehow I interpreted that it was a wrong thing to do.
Right.
But we do things like that all the time. I mean, people are always coming into attraction. Why is this person in my life? What is it that I learned from them? The long-term relationships like parents and things like that, they can go haywire too. But the longer the relationships are usually, more permanent, if you want to call it that.
Mm-hmm.
Ones we have the most karma with. So we have longer to deal with it. The ones that come in and out of our lives are there to teach us a lesson, or we to teach them a lesson, or to both of us learn a lesson.
Right. Sometimes it's more about
there's a purpose for all of it. If I have this expectation, I can't, oh my God, this person is going to be the love of my life. It's going to be forever and everything. I'm not making fun of that. If you can do that, that is amazing. I mean, it's a really wonderful thing. But that there's no guarantees because everything's in changing. When you get married young, let's say, in my day, people got married, usually by 21 or somewhere in there. And now it's a lot later, and some people don't get married at all. But, now things have changed. But, okay, you start out at 21 or 18. Let's say you start dating in college or 18 or in high school or wherever. And then you go through all these years. You change a lot. By the time you get to your 30s, 50s, and so on, you change a lot. The two people that got married at 18 are not the same two people that are living together, sometimes later. And sometimes they both grow together. Sometimes the world or their own destiny takes them in separate directions.
Right.
That doesn't mean the love wasn't there. And some people just not, they just don't have that open, loving feeling. I mean, their heart's not open. And they may say all the right things. They may do all the right things for a while, but they don't have the feeling of love. Our emotions get us in trouble, a lot because they lead us into things that probably maybe because I'm mad or because I'm angry, I'll probably attract something I don't want. Or because I'm happy and great and now I think everything is great and so therefore I attract things I'm not. That's why the important thing is to be conscious and be aware and conscious of the higher levels of things, why things are the way they are. And everyone has that ability. Everyone does.
Right. Well, that's why I think this podcast is important, is talking about getting conscious or getting information that helps you to live from a more truthful, happier, loving place in your life. So like, absolutely all love, and I appreciate the sentence of saying, I didn't I led with my heart, and that's what got me in trouble. I'm only using it as an example because with like seeing that kind of, there's people who think, oh, well, I loved her, but I made a wrong choice. Well, we don't know. And this is the open-mindedness part of the segment where it's like, well, what did I come in to learn? And these are things that you mentioned in the first episode. What was I born to do? What did I come in to learn? What's the role of past lives? What, am I supposed to use this experience to help me be the person that I'm supposed to be? So
it's not about supposed to be in a way anymore. I think in this age, the Aquarian age and so on, it's more about what is the person you want to be? What's the real person here? If you want someone to be, if you want someone to, are you still there?
I'm here, yeah.
If my battery dies, I work today, so anyway, if you want someone to be honest, you want to see them, pray that their real self shows up.
Right. What about with its parents? So one of the questions with parents is like, how, the role of either having trauma or losing a parent and how that impacts relationships or your ability to love yourself or feel love.
Well, I think it's very important, one way or the other, because, the person that, the idea is, show me the first 7 years of a child's life, I'll show you the person, because that's where most of the opportunities that we're going to be investigating are going to start within the first 7 years. So parents being there, not being there, giving birth, not giving birth, not being there and so on, or good, bad, right, wrong, leaving is those are the long-term relationships where we have the biggest karma. We choose to come in with people, we choose our parents, and we choose to come in with people that will provide us with the opportunity. I need to learn something I need to learn. Now, a lot of people won't like that statement because they're thinking that, oh my God, I didn't choose this.
No, I couldn't have possibly chose this. No.
I understand that. Of course, I was adopted, so there was like I was told very young, that my parents didn't want us, and I'm sitting there going, what did I do? And this little kid, what did I do that wouldn't stop? But then later I understood exactly what happened, but she gave me birth, they gave me birth, I'm here, I'm on the planet.
Right.
And And you'll find that everything's, if somebody's being abusive and they're really being, they're not, they may have given birth, but they don't know how to be a parent.
Right.
In that sense. So, but usually there's someone else that sort of comes in, and it could be a grandparent, it could be, someone else, a neighbor for that matter. It could be someone who is close to that person, an aunt, that not everybody knows how to be a parent on this planet.
It's true. So a lot of parents have unresolved stuff that they didn't work through.
Look at there are financial problems going on. There was sickness, this and that. A lot of people left.
Yeah.
It's not an easy planet. If anyone thinks it is, right, it's going to turn into one. But this was a planet with a lot of stuff going on. And I choose, what the important thing is, you can choose how you deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just buy into the outside, it's going to be hard. If you go inside, it'll show you how to deal with the outside, or it'll prevent the outside from affecting you.
Right.
And that gives you consciousness and, understanding and consciousness, where you're not blind, and and you don't have to suffer the same way that someone else. You'll have an understanding. I don't know how else to put that. You'll know things where other places you only believe, it's just a circus of belief systems.
Right. I think that's the important part, is understanding that we're born, but just because we're born to people does not mean that they know how to parent us. And even though as a child we want to parent, as an adult we can choose almost like a conscious reparenting, where we are the giver of love. And when we go within, as you're suggesting, we can make that connection to source, which is so much deeper and more meaningful, because we are not necessarily from our physical biological parents. We are from source, and we're the master, or we're the soul that is able to incarnate through these physical people. But we came in with a much larger picture, and I think when we care about the larger picture and the soul that's within us, and not wanting to suffer, and how do we live our best life in this time-space reality, when you put that together, it's almost like curiosity leads the way, or love leads the way, or compassion or patience leads the way. And we understand, well, I have to reduce my my expectations to get out of suffering. Not that we shouldn't, like, manifestation expectation is different than expectation of a circumstance, because expectation of a circumstance is where we get fixed on an idea. I want this, and if I don't get this, I won't be happy. Well, then how many opportunities are you going to give yourself not to be happy over something? Same thing with attachment, or when we're in fear or worry. We're using our beautiful creative ability to contribute to what we don't want rather than what we do want. And these are all those like little nuggets of choice, where we either live a life that's in alignment to us and gives us the wanted thing, or we live a life where we're allowing ourselves to either consciously or unconsciously stay stuck in things that don't give us life and take away from our life. And the choice is yours no matter what.
Right. Parenting is a lot different today than it was, when I was little. Parenting is just different. A lot of people are smarter. A lot of people have, they got different kinds of problems, but there's a lot of people, I see many, many parents being very loving, very caring to their kids and so on. Then, of course, we also know there are people that do the abuse, but they're, that negative, evil side would be, it's just there.
Yeah.
And, but if I should not stay around abuse no matter where it is.
Right. It's like chaos.
Yeah, little kids don't have a choice. They're victims to it. So I don't know what they did in past lives. I don't know what they didn't do in past lives. But I know that they're demonstrating to me, at least, that this is not a good way to be a parent. To be as evil as they are, this is not good for children. I sit there and feel, see the suffering children, but are they suffering, or did they sign up for it? I don't know.
Right.
And, I observe, and I pray, I do a lot of things, but, being kind to children is very important. Being kind and caring and understanding and helping kids, especially in teenagers too. I used to teach high school. So, I mean, teenagers, there's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of heaviness for people today. So if again, if you go in, it makes it easier. If you don't, and you don't know how to go in and you don't experience something spiritual, then, it's not fun.
Yeah. I mean, even thinking about being a teenager, I was very lucky. I met you, I think I was 22 years old. I'm 36 now. So it's about almost 23 years old, which is still really young and an absolute gift to be able to have all this teaching and be able to utilize it because I'm still young. But being a teenager for me was really hard, or being a child. And that's kind of the point of these podcasts, is if I could, everybody, I don't know how many people think about this, but if you can go back and have a conversation with your younger self on all the things that you have learned. And I think this is a big highlight for people who do inner child work, becoming the conscious adult or the conscious parent or the conscious person who could feed back the love that your inner child needs. It's radical. And the response you get almost from your inner child when you are the parent and the child simultaneously, you understand the hurts that inner child feels, versus also how to give your inner child that love, because you become the parent. And then you see, when that relationship transpires, how it affects other relationships in your life. And that it kickstarts everything. Like one of the comments from earlier was about learning how to love yourself, or letting yourself love yourself. And I think, these are ways that we love ourselves. What we need, learning what do we need in order to feel loved, and how do we need to give that to ourselves.
Going back to self-love and so on, and giving ourselves permission, like you just mentioned, it's very interesting, because the negative, the evil, whatever you want to call it, the undoing, taught people that that's being egotistical, and they, if they can't, if you say you love yourself, then you're being egotistical. The wrong teachings, the teachings that were reversed and so on, are out there in all kinds of areas.
Right.
But love is one of them. And, we're not supposed to be happy with ourselves or be, I think there's more of a change now than there used to be.
I agree.
But everything's about the self. Everything is about learning and understanding and loving and being the best person you can.
Yeah.
And we have, you can go out and you can, there's times where you just smile at someone and you've done something really good.
I agree.
And sometimes you're doing sometimes you're doing something for someone and you really don't want to. It's hard and it's annoying and it's this and that. But you never know, when you do it for that person, how many other people are automatically having somebody do it for them too.
Right.
We're all connected.
Right.
So whatever I do, even if I'm not happy, I can turn myself around and go, okay, I wonder who else is getting this benefit besides the person I'm working on.
That is true.
Because we're all one, so we're all connected. One thought can move right straight through. You can have a party going on, and one person's happy and it's contagious, and the next time somebody can be in a bad mood and it ruins everybody's time. So the idea is not to allow that to happen.
Yeah. That's one of the other notes. Joy overrides all obstacles. So if if you're going to have to choose between joy and fear, if you can keep doing things that will keep moving you into joy, or standing in joy, or moving in the direction of joy, you'll have an easier time making joy your foundation, and then worry or fear won't even be a part of the words that you speak, the thoughts you think, the feelings you feel, because you've made a daily practice out of lining yourself up to joy.
Well, and these are all words, Teresa, but the point is that it's a choice.
Yeah, 1,000%, I agree.
And if I make a choice, the way will find me. Again, we don't have to work so hard on all this stuff. I mean, it sounds like, we've been in a false age of Pisces, and we had to work terribly hard and stuff. This age is an age of miracles. We don't have to become anything. We just have to want it. and let the universe provide it.
I think that's the importance of getting into alignment with our spiritual, I would say, side, or our spiritual nature, because that's how we allow ourselves to get out of our own way and be able to make the connection to say, hey, universe, I want this. Hey, universe, I need this, and trust that the universe will provide for us. Or, hey, source, I would like to experience this. And then you just trust that it's going to be delivered to you. And when it does, it's so fun.
Again, I'm a little leery about saying it that way, Teresa, to be honest. It's not about it providing, it's how teaching us how it's a lot of times it's just teaching us how to go about getting it. Because the reason I stopped that just for a minute, because it can be, there's a story that I learned a long time ago, and this little boy was standing outside and he was selling newspapers.
Okay.
And people kept coming up and they bought them, and then somebody would get the newspapers and give it to him so he could sell them and so he could make money and so on. Then one day it all stopped. The guy didn't come to give him the newspapers, and the people stopped buying them. So I think what it wants us to do is to be independent and strong in our own right too.
Oh yeah.
And to do what we need to do. If I ask, how do I do this, and someone gives it to me, great. If I ask, how do I do this, and it shows me how to get it myself, then great.
That I understand the difference between that, and yes, I do agree. I think that's the balancing act, and maybe that leads to us making law of attraction, manifestation, verbiage, like one of the next subjects that we do. And if anybody has any kind of questions or suggestions for what they want the topics of this podcast to be, we're definitely open ears to that. I think what I'd like to ask to wrap this up as the last question is, what is the best methods for personal healing? So, and do you still use bringing in a new parallel life as a method of healing in the Aquarian age?
I don't know what.
Because one of the notes in the notebook was, as a method of healing, you can bring in a parallel universe where you have it.
You're talking about quantum jumping.
Mm.
Yeah, quantum jumping you can do. I mean, yeah, you can do that. For healing, healing's balance. So there's so much on YouTube and so much help, with healing and so on. Healing is if something needs energy, like Reiki is an example, if something needs energy, it gives energy. If it has too much energy, it takes it away. And the idea is to get the body balanced. And, it's very hard to do with the foods and the chemtrails and all this other stuff going on. Recalls of food, great amounts of recalls of foods. I mean, there's a lot of obstacles to it. But if you go inside, I cannot say this enough. If you go inside and even if you went in just for a short time, if you just sit there and go, I'm here, that's it. That's all I can do. I'm here. I'm just here, and I'm going to sit here, and I'm just going to sit here. And people say, well, I didn't feel anything. But if you're healed, you don't feel pain. You don't feel the body hurting or anything. Well, when you don't feel any good, that's because you're okay.
Right.
So it's the same thing. It's not you may or may not see things. You may or may not feel things. You may or may, but you do it. You're going to find out the outside obeys the inside, and the inside, if the higher, the brighter the light, or the more pure thing that you're looking at or focusing on, the more pure experience you're going to have.
Right.
If the chatter comes in and chatter, just tell it, go away, And after a while, the chatter won't come in while you're doing it.
I like to put that focus on just, Source's love, and just like, I know Source's love is so beautiful, and just focus on the feeling of how Source's love is beautiful. And that thing you mentioned about just showing up, sitting there, being present, saying, I'm here, I'm listening. It's so simple. And, maybe for a beginner, that might be a little bit of a struggle. I'm not sure. It depends on the person. But I feel like when you had taught that to me, I felt how, like, almost like in this, there's beauty in the simplicity, and just saying, like, there was, it expresses total surrender. And when we experience total surrender to source, that's when our most profound receiving comes. And I just really feel like I fell in love with you. I fell in love with you explaining it that way. And now I use that every day. And I feel like the response that I get from that is, like, I'm filled with such a beautiful meditation and beautiful feelings and inspiration and so much clarity, because of just saying, I'm here, I'm listening. What's for my highest good to see today? What's for my highest good to do right now? How do I be guided? Whatever the questions are, and then just receiving. And I know for certain 13 years ago, when I started this journey with you, my brain was not there. So to be there today is just an expression of how far we've come together.
One of the things, Teresa, you had thirst, and you wanted to know, and you were open and minded enough to listen and to try to understand and use whatever anyone taught you, even life. Everything teaches us, right?
Right.
But it's a credit. All I have to do is want to know. How do I do this? Where do I go? How am I going to, I don't really want this. This is not what I want. I don't want more strife in my life. No, I don't want that. Yeah, I want this. I would like to have that. Then. You have the thirst for something, and you have the thirst for, if you have a thirst for revenge, if you have you get what you have the thirst for.
Right.
So you did it right, hon. You did. You were always asking, and I was always trying to tell you.
Yeah, it's no exaggeration when I say Nancy, like, tirelessly poured into me. There was so much time we spent together. Well, Nancy, how come the sky's blue? And Nancy, how come there's, just all the why? How does that work? How does that fit? What does that do? And just over and over again. And it was such a fun process to remember truth.
Teresa, I want to impress. In today's Aquarian age, you don't have to have a master like me telling you stuff. The people today have the opportunity to go inside and have everything done. It's all there for them. So all the thing a teacher can do is speed things up, that's all. So these broadcasts hopefully will give someone an idea or speed it up. But a person can, things have changed from the Pisces age now that we're in Aquarian age. None of the same things. It's changed a lot, and I've changed. I don't do a lot of the stuff I used to do when I was, doing this and that. I don't do it anymore because it's not needed. All we need to do is want to light up.
Yeah, just be happy. Go within and be happy.
Yeah.
That represents the truth of source, is when we're happy, because we are source.
I don't need to wear robes. I don't need to do this. I don't need to do a lot of things. I just need to light up.
Yeah. I agree. Well, that's a beautiful place to end this podcast tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. We love you. We're sending love to you. If there's any questions, please reach out to me throughout the week. We have Cosmic Tea Hour 999 tomorrow at 7 p.m., and we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you to everybody who watched Nancy and I tonight, and thank you for the opportunity to share these things with you. We love you. Bye.
Bye.